There is a certain kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful or restorative. It follows you into every room, every crowded street, every late-night moment when the world has gone still. It's the silence that settles in your chest when you realize your phone hasn't buzzed with a real message in weeks. Not because you muted notifications, not because you needed space, but because no one is reaching out. It's the silence of walking through busy spaces and feeling completely unseen, of having stories you'd love to share, jokes you wish someone else could hear, thoughts heavy enough to break you, but no one to hand any of it to. Small victories are celebrated alone, disappointments are swallowed in private, and slowly, you start to exist in a world where your inner life has no witness. Millions of people live in this reality, not because they chose it, but because circumstances, experiences, and psychology quietly nudged them into it. Outsiders often imagine that people without friends must be antisocial, aloof, or simply uninterested in connection. But that assumption misses something far deeper. The psychology behind friendlessness is rarely simple. It is a complex blend of past wounds, learned defenses, hidden fears, and subtle coping mechanisms that eventually harden into isolation. And when researchers study chronic social isolation, they uncover something startling. The brain doesn't just feel lonely over time, it changes. Neural pathways involved in social understanding begin to weaken. The regions responsible for recognizing facial expressions, interpreting tone, and reading social cues become less active. It's as if the brain, deprived of interaction, starts to forget the choreography of human connection. This isn't weakness, it isn't personality. It's neuroplasticity adapting to an environment lacking social stimulation. But how does someone end up here? The erosion of connection rarely happens overnight. Instead, it tends to accumulate slowly, almost invisibly. Maybe it began with childhood exclusion, the kid who never got chosen for teams or invited to birthday parties. Maybe it came from a betrayal, a friend who shared secrets, a group that drifted away without warning. Each moment leaves a microfracture in trust. Over time, these tiny fractures form psychological scar tissue. Psychologists call this social learning. The brain starts associating vulnerability with danger, openness with pain, trust with disappointment. So, it adapts. It learns to hold back, to expect less, to play it safe. Not out of choice, but out of self-preservation. These protective behaviors eventually turn into invisible walls. A friendly message feels suspicious. A delayed reply feels like rejection. A cancelled hangout becomes proof that you're not worth the effort. People trapped in this mindset aren't imagining things, they're interpreting the world through a lens that was shaped by real experiences. Ironically, many people without friends develop extremely high emotional intelligence. They've spent so long watching social interactions from the outside that they've become experts in human behavior. They notice inconsistencies that others miss, forced laughter, insincere compliments, power dynamics within groups. But this insight becomes a double-edged sword. When you see through surface-level friendliness, it becomes harder to accept anything less than genuine connection. And genuine connection requires vulnerability from both sides, which feels terrifying to someone who has spent years being wounded. So they wait. They wait for the rare person who feels safe. Someone who listens without judgment, who cares without obligation, who can handle emotional depth instead of being intimidated by it. While they wait, though, they may seem distant, uninterested, or hard to approach. The very defenses meant to protect them end up pushing potential friendships away. Being without close relationships also distorts self-perception. Without people around to reflect your better qualities back to you, you begin to see only your flaws. You convince yourself that you're boring, unlikable, too intense, too quiet, too something. When someone shows interest, you question it. Are they being polite? Do they want something? Will they eventually leave like everyone else? This skepticism, born from past pain, sabotages new possibilities before they even begin. Perhaps the saddest part is this. People who live without friends often crave connection more deeply than anyone else, because they know the weight of its absence. They don't want small talk. They hunger for the kind of friendship where silence is comfortable, where both people can sit together as their real selves. They want depth, not breadth, authenticity, not convenience. But meaningful friendships take time. They grow from small, seemingly insignificant moments, not instant emotional revelations. Wanting the destination without walking the path becomes yet another barrier. Time itself begins to feel strange. Weekends stretch endlessly. Holidays become reminders of what's missing. Birthdays pass without celebration. Days blur together because nothing significant marks them. Even a short conversation with a stranger can become something replayed in the mind for days, simply because it was the only human connection that week. People in long-term isolation often become incredibly good at being alone. They develop rich inner worlds, creative hobbies, intellectual pursuits. They become independent, self-reliant, introspective. But this comfort can turn into a trap. The more familiar solitude becomes, the more intimidating social interaction feels. Social skills that once required no thought now require conscious effort. Every word is second-guessed. Every gesture is analyzed. What used to be instinctive becomes mechanical, like trying to remember how to ride a bike after years of walking. This social rust produces a cruel paradox. The thing they need most social interaction is the thing they fear they aren't capable of anymore. Anxiety rises. Performance suffers. This reinforces the belief that they're bad at relationships, tightening the feedback loop until reaching out feels impossible. Society quietly adds to the pressure. It assumes that adults have friends by default. Someone to call when something amazing happens, someone to bring as a plus one, someone to confide in. When you don't have these people, you feel like you're failing at some unwritten rule of adulthood, and so you hide it. You decline invitations, make excuses, avoid conversations about your personal life. Pretending becomes its own exhausting performance. In the digital age, isolation takes on new shadows. Social media becomes a window into the friendships of others. Group photos, trips, celebrations, inside jokes. It starts to feel like the entire world is connecting while you're stuck behind the glass. But at the same time, online communities become small sanctuaries, anonymous spaces where you can speak openly, where people understand you, where you can exist without fear of judgment. Still, these digital connections highlight the gap between virtual presence and real-life companionship. Emotions, too, begin to behave differently. Joy feels muted because there's no one to share it with. Sadness grows heavier without comfort. Anger has nowhere to go but inward. People without friends become their own emotional processing system, something humans were never designed to be alone. They begin to emotionally hoard, saving stories, saving thoughts, saving feelings, hoping that one day they'll have someone to share them with. But when someone finally appears, the backlog feels overwhelming, outdated, or too intense to unload. Many also become chronic people pleasers, terrified of losing the few interactions they do have. They become agreeable to their own detriment, molding themselves to what they think others want. But true friendship cannot form when one person is constantly performing. You can't be loved for who you are if you rarely show who you truly are. And yet, within all this pain, something remarkable often grows, a profound understanding of the self. When you have no one to shape your identity for you, you learn to explore it alone. You learn what you genuinely enjoy, what values are yours, what dreams come from within you instead of from social influence. You develop independence, creativity, emotional depth, and a kind of wisdom that comes only from long conversations with your own mind. People who have spent long periods alone often understand human behavior better than those surrounded by friends. They can see social patterns, power dynamics, authenticity, and deception with unparalleled clarity. But this clarity can also become a burden. When you understand the social performance too well, participating in it becomes difficult. Hope becomes a complicated emotion. Some days it feels like everything could still change, that friendships can form at any age, in unexpected places, from unexpected people. Other days, resignation settles in, whispering that solitude is safer and easier. But here is the truth. Being without friends does not make you broken. It means your mind adapted to protect you. It means your heart has survived experiences that shaped your defenses. And it means that beneath those defenses lies depth, sensitivity, resilience, and an understanding of connection that is incredibly rare. Your loneliness is not evidence that you are unworthy. It is evidence that you are human and that you feel the absence of something essential. The very qualities you think make you too much or not enough are often the exact qualities that make you worth knowing. And connection, once it finds you again, will not be frightened by your depth. It will be drawn to it.